GEOTAB 5.7 What's New webinar Session 2. Following is a pre-recorded message from October 24th. GEOTAB 5.7 software updates include a number of enhancements which can be found in the product guide under What's New. In Session 1, we covered logins, dashboards, and mapping. If you missed this session, you can download from MyAdmin under Resources Training Materials. Today in Session 2, we are covering Full Screen Maps View, Vehicles tab, Auxiliary Rules, Risk Management, What's Moved to the Web, Engine Data, Maintenance, Importing Zones, and Customer Visits. And then in Session 3, on October 31st, we will be covering NFC Identification, Drivers and Users, Reports, and GEOTAB Drive. As we enter into this session, we have Angie, Steph, and Jordan walking through enhancements and the new look and feel.
I'm in the trip history, and what we've changed is the little toggle button when we had the map view. So that little toggle button was not popular. We got a lot of feedback that nobody liked it. And we now have the ability to make it full screen. So I can hide the main menu by clicking on this button here at the top. Click it again, and it will back open. If I look at a particular trip on the map, I just click on this line. You can see here I've got my view, and we no longer have that toggle. I'm going to actually click on this arrow, and it brings us to our different versions. And then we get our full screen view, which we did not have before. So we now have that ability for a lot of people in dispatch. They were asking for this to get the full screen view. They didn't necessarily care to see the detailed view. Okay, moving on. So that's the new little feature that I wanted to show everybody there that we didn't really cover last time.
Angie, there is a question about what is the default map set now? If you went back, just put any trip on the map again for us for a second.
So the default map will still be Bing until you manually go in and change it, which you can do within the options, the system settings of the database itself. Keep in mind you can only have either Google selected or Bing. So you'll have to actually go into the options and change it. As to which one is better, there's not a proper answer to that. It differs between companies and what you prefer and what you see. I personally find that Google's a bit better with finding addresses, but there are companies out there for specific remote locations that prefer Bing because Google hasn't gotten to those yet. So it's really one or the other. I can't give a proper answer to that.
It is a database-based setting, so you can look at the data where your vehicles, that fleet's vehicles normally flow, and make a judgment call as to which is better or which is worse. You can toggle it on and off within the same session, but you must go to the system settings to make the change, and you're changing it globally. So you might switch from Bing to Google and change somebody else who's logged in the view that they have at that time.
There will not be any pricing differences between the two, as we'll have the APIs now on our side, so you don't have to buy your own API to utilize Google Maps like we had told you in the past, since it's a new change that we've done for 5.7.
And if you have a demo database on My 6 or My 25, you will not see Google Maps come active until November the 1st, I believe. So don't be surprised. I just remember hearing that November 1st was the first day that Google will give us the key.
Great, thanks, Steph. Any more questions before I continue?
Yeah, go back to the map view for just a second. Or the trips history, I think, is where you were. Because we were looking at the PDF button up here at the top. This is the question to the PDF. So what we've done in 5.7 is under this view list, instead of having the button be, click here for PDF, click here for Excel, now you can select the view and you can decide which view you'd like to see. Angie, if you just go down to business versus personal last week, we have nothing highlighted, but it might work. There, nothing, we didn't have anything selected. Put SV in that list in the filter, and it'll show my couple of vehicles. Hit select all, and then there you go. So what it does is, if you made a custom dashboard or a custom report, this view now lists all of those reports. If I scroll down, I'll get to see the graphic. There it is. 100% of my use was personal use by the way I have my zones.
So basically, what we've done is any Excel custom report, you now get to view it in the software before having to export it to actually see the data. You can see here that obviously this tab here from the Excel report, the data looks a little bit small, so we've got this the zoom button here as well, where you can just zoom in to see the data. Ideally, I would recommend when you're doing any sort of custom report, try to keep the data as limited to what you really need to see on the report, so that it does kind of fit to the screen and what you're really looking to get out of it.
Yeah, and on that, you can customize the report in the view based off of what you do in Excel. So if you've already customized reports in the past, you should also be able to have them pop up in here. Now, mind you, if you did have a custom report that was 100 columns in length, it might not fit well, so you just have to adjust it accordingly, perhaps to look at it nicely in here. And yes, the customized reports can show graphs.
Absolutely, yeah.
The question was to just show the graph, and the answer to that is I don't think so.
So the answer to that is, what it's doing is it's showing whichever tabs are not hidden on the custom reports. You can see it's not showing us the data tab because the data tab is hidden. So if you want it to just show the graph, just go ahead and hide the data tab and the report tab and just keep that summary tab there, and it will show the summary tab. Now obviously it won't show just the graph, that was more so for dashboards, but it will show the graph and the table like it does in any other summary tab on custom reports.
And just a quick question about the scroll bar. If there was a wider report in there, a bottom scroll bar will appear. There probably is one here, but it's just hidden in the cleaning of the database. As you can see, Angie can switch back and forth from left to right.
Okay, so Angie, just real quick, can you go back to the trips history for a second and pull up that vehicle? You can pick on me. Take one of mine.
I'll pick on you.
Okay. Put something on the map, right? Okay. Now, you have to remember, once you use the trick to shrink the report side and increase the map size. There we go. Okay. So now you've got data and the map, or vice versa. Angie, can you go up and hit the print view from the browser? This is a web browser. The way to print in a browser is to use the browser function for print. And now it's loading my map. Now, if you wanted to switch the orientation to get a broader picture of it, so on and so forth, you can flip the orientation around based on the print setup here on the left. You can also print to PDF. It's a choice. Okay, but you do use the browser print function, or you can use one of the Snagit screenshot type apps. Just hit cancel. There you go. Okay, so there's a ton of questions here. I'm just trying to go through and read them. All reports are moving automatically from 5.6 to 5.7. I haven't really had any problems moving a report from 5.6 to 5.7, but that doesn't mean if there's some weird formula in there that it might have difficulty transferring over.
So we're going to cover reports in a whole entire session, but to just at a high level, we have something kind of new as far as the custom reports go. So we still have to import them as an XLS, 1997 to 2003 Excel file. But we actually now can export them as an XLSM, which is a macro-enabled Excel document. So a lot of those formulas that we were having issues with during the, during it going through the framework should no longer exist. I have not seen any issues with databases that have been migrated from 5.6 to 5.7. I haven't seen really anything. So I don't believe there's going to be any issues. But, if there are, we can definitely take a look at it. I don't foresee anything happening, though.
Just one question here is just asking about whether or not we can still see the vehicle health, green or red. Since you can still create a watchdog report within the software, you can actually have that watchdog report show as normal. And you can still see the, yellow, red, green setup you have. You can even create your own new ones if you want to see if it's still healthy. But that would be more like you would have to customize your own report or use the default watchdog report for that.
Okay, Angie, do me a favor. Go back to the report side by side with the trips history and the speed view. Yeah, you might have to expand it out because of the resolution on your screen to see the speed by trip speed graph. I think you need more report and less of the map showing there.
That's all I can do, Steph.
Doesn't come back. I can see it where it's distorted at the top, so I know it's still there. It's just the resolution and the projection through the GoToMeeting that's cutting it off. The link is right there. I can see it on your screen. It's just that there it is. 5.7, that picking a vehicle in the map tab that the world map shows with the icon, but it won't zoom in all the way. Is this a bug? I hadn't really noticed that. I thought that the zoom functionality was much better in 5.7 than it was in 5.6. So if you pick a vehicle from the list, for live vehicle list, you can get a host of data.
All right, can everybody see my screen here?
We've got you.
Perfect.
And you can see everything.
Yeah, it's just that computer didn't like it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so moving along to the vehicles and devices screen. Take it away, Jordan.
All right, so you know what, Angie, do you want to just follow up with what you ended up on?
So the first thing in here that I wanted to kind of point out is if you just click on a vehicle there, you can actually see this thing that says service plan. So we can actually now see which devices are on pro mode or base mode. And Jordan, if you just click on the arrow there, so you can see if they've been suspended or terminated, you can see any plan that they are a part of. Additionally, in the middle there, you can see what additional services they have attached to their device: Garmin, HOS, and Iridium. So it'll just be bolded if it is something that's attached to that device. And then finally, you can see here the data plans. Now, it will not show cost, okay? So we're not showing any cost to any customers. It will just say, for us, it says no charge because it's internal, but it would say, you know, live, and then it would say AT&T or T-Mobile.
Or Telus or Rogers or whatever.
Or Telus or Rogers, yeah. That was the main thing I wanted to show in the device edit. One of the major things that we can do now, and let's just go back to the list, is if you notice, if you click on more, I didn't see it, sorry.
Oh.
We no longer have that advanced status, okay? So everything can be done inside this screen here. So if you notice, beside where it says 7 vehicles on the top right, you can actually click on it there. You can select certain vehicles. You can select visible, so Jordan can just click on a couple that he wants to edit, and then you can click on edit devices. So this is similar to what used to be copy device settings.
It's much more efficient. One thing to point out about this is if you just wanted to change one group and you don't really want to select individually, go ahead and change your filter. And then once you get that filter in there, you can actually just select all from there. I know there's only one in here, but then you can select all visible. So it's just an easier way to doing it to an entire group if you want, instead of having to click individual vehicles going down the list.
Perfect, thank you, that helps. Any questions about bulk editing the devices?
We do have quite a few questions here if we want to stop and answer a few.
Absolutely, I figured there would be.
Okay, so the first one is on that changing of the status there for, and it popped up. So can you just open up where we're talking about the program? Go to Colin's vehicle and pop it open for me for a second.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, where it says Pro Mode there, that is the same as going into My Admin and saying I want to go from base to Pro to suspend to terminate. That's what that chart right there does. And that's what it's showing here is whatever status you put it in My Admin. So what you change in My Admin is what is reflected here. So if you have a device that's accidentally deactivated, you would be able to see it here. Okay, so the next question that we have, and I'm just trying to go through here, how can we see the current status or health of all the vehicles so we could in the advanced section? The fastest way that I know to do it is to go to the summary and go to the watchdog report on the summary tab. It shows you everything. Say again?
If you created one.
Well, I mean, it's a default report in most databases, but go ahead. And Jordan, didn't we say last week that the number of returns had bumped up from 500? So it isn't limited to just
on the screen at a time.
It's only 500 on the screen at a time?
Yeah. Steph, did you hear me talk about Watchdog report?
No, I know. There's just a bunch of questions here. Sorry.
Okay. So, anyway, you can click, as I was trying to point out, on the view, and you can click it on a Watchdog report that you previously made with an Excel. So this is an example, and just keep in mind this is sort of a test one that we're making, so you don't see the colors and such, but if your Excel sheet was made to do that, it would show it. And here you can see that information if you would need to. So it's honestly, it's just in the vehicle report like it normally is, and then in the view, and then the Watchdog. And you can customize in Excel, make it change colors, make it show different information. You can filter out things, and then when you click on it, it would show that here.
Yeah, and our standard Watchdog report will show you, like it did before, if it's communicating, if it's not, and then color-coded based on the status.
Yeah.
So
just, again, keep in mind, this is just one of our test ones. So this isn't showing us what you would otherwise want to see. Any other questions regarding that or anything else?
Still questioning the total number of devices that you can see on a page, which is limited to 500.
Yeah, so the 500 limit is not quite there anymore, depending on what it is you're looking at. For the log details, I know it's 5,000 now in the engine data, but some of the other aspects of it might still be limited to the 500 because it's very easy to filter through. Vehicles in particular, I believe, might still be limited to that 500 just because it's really easy to type something to find vehicles. If you were to look at it in this report view, then you could easily get the entire list on the web page to see everything.
And you've got your Excel limit, which is like 65,000 lines or something.
Yeah.
So you can see there, you can clearly see which ones are communicating, which ones aren't. You can see the last location that they were at, how many days since their last trip, since their last communication. All of the data that we were able to see in the Watchdog report is in there.
And you can add your own little flares to it if it's something you'd like to see, and add it here. And this is just an example, sort of the default one that would be given to you to start with.
Okay, so the question is going back to the vehicles and the rate plans. Can you go back to that section for just a second?
Back to the vehicle
device.
Yep.
Yeah, just pick anyone, doesn't matter. Okay, so where it says live no charge, it would say live, and it would say AT&T or T-Mobile, but there's no cost or anything else associated. It just basically tells you at a glance what kind of device is that. Okay, and you know what that rate charge is going to be. If it's a rental, it'll say live monthly rental plan.
Yeah, we will never show the customers how much you guys are being charged per device.
Yeah, absolutely.
In 5.7, we'll be able to go from pro to base. I don't know the answer to that question.
What was that question? Sorry.
We'll be able to go from pro to base.
No, that's you guys. So I'm not going to get involved.
I don't know. I don't know the answer to the question. I know of no functional changes in that area, so I'm going to say that you probably cannot. But we'll wait and see.
All right, should I move on, or are there any questions that were put
there's a couple more here. One of the questions is, what did the total number of devices include the historical devices? And the answer to that question is, I believe, yes.
Can you repeat that? Sorry.
When you go back to the main screen that lists all the vehicles, it says 7 vehicles. If they were historic, would they show there in the count of 7 or not?
Nope, you can click historic specifically to add the inactive vehicles. And as you can see, it just went up, and now they're grayed out as well to show you that these are the historic vehicles.
And the serial numbers disappeared, and you can't view them on a map, and it looks very different. Good call.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
So the number did jump up to 17 because we did include them, but by default, we don't include them.
Okay, so the question about editing multiple vehicle types or multiple vehicles at one type is limited to, you can only edit Go 6s at one time with light Go 6s and Go 7s with light Go 7s. Is that still true?
Yeah, that's a good question, and that is still a limitation to an extent on the system. You can select the different ones, and I believe the edit devices itself would be smart to make sure that there's no changes that could otherwise affect, like maybe a Go 6 and a Go 4 isn't the best example.
Well, actually, it was pretty good. It was pretty good. If you went back to that, what you had selected there, you had a Go 4 and a Go 6, and it gave you the harsh brake delta in kilometers per hour.
Yeah, there you go.
So that would only apply to the Go 4.
So it basically thinks smart and gives you the options based off of the selections you went in there and chose.
So it won't. It will let you edit more things across, like time zones and the like, but it won't let you make hardware-specific changes that would affect it. If it didn't have the functionality, it's not going to make it available.
Right.
Okay. Next, how to add or remove columns in the Watchdog report. It's the same as you always did it in the Excel file. You do it in the Excel file and upload the new version.
Yeah, keep in mind that that view we were looking at was a visual of the Excel file. So that's all it is. It's kind of a screenshot, I guess you could say, of the Excel file. So everything as far as custom reports goes is not changed. It's still done in Excel.
Yeah, and the reports section of 5.7 is going to be touched on more next week.
Yeah.
Some of the sorting features at the top are kind of nice to be able to look at data.
Yeah, you can sort by the specific groups you have in the options, and you can sort by device type and name.
Which I don't think has changed since 5.6.
Yeah, from 5.6 it hasn't really changed. You're pretty much used to this by now. It's more so in the log details, definitely that's changed that I went over last week.
Okay, so where's the odometer reading in 5.7? How do I see an odometer reading in 5.7 is the next question.
So of a specific vehicle? Because the odometer reading will be still in the same spot.
I think we mean when we used to go into advanced, you could say more details and it would show, or say show odometer and it would show the odometer reading.
Okay, because now you should be able to see the odometer. Oh, you mean the extra added details.
For every vehicle.
Yeah, so that would be a specific report also that you could make in Excel to have that shown, right? So if I went to the advanced list, I believe the advanced would show that on the list as well as one of the options. Again, a lot of it comes down to if you have the report and you could see it in Excel, you can now see it within my GeoTab. Now, this is an example of a report that has a lot of extra columns and might not be the best option to use in here, so you might want to cut it down. You know, this still might be great to have emailed out to you because you like all these extra options, but specifically to show within the web version of my GeoTab, it might not be preferred. But here you can see the odometers in this report.
So you can either click on PDF or Excel and spit these out into a file that you want to save on your computer.
Or we can just create an odometer report that gives you the odometer for the period and have it be one of our views. So we have a couple of different options to do that.
Exactly.
Absolutely. One thing I want to point out now is that there's no more auxiliary status option. You can no longer name them. You can no longer select things for them. We now believe that since the exception and rules report is pretty well done to this point, not report, sorry, just how we use it, the functionality of it is pretty good even for using auxiliary changes. So I would personally just recommend if you ever have auxiliary rules or auxiliary information you want to follow up with, you can actually go into the rules and then set criteria based around the auxiliary in there, and then give it the necessary name for whatever rule it is that you might be breaking or not breaking for that.
Yep, so then you can just basically run a report based on those auxiliaries to see the duration. You know, you can put them into a risk management report, get all the information that you need, so distance, duration, counts. We found that with the standard auxiliary status report, we weren't getting a lot of information out of it. So by doing it but with rules, it's a lot more flexible and you can do a lot more with it. Now, by saying that, you know, you can still view it. You'll be able to view it on the map like any other rule. So you can see when that aux is on the map. and it will show up as an exception rule. Any questions regarding that stuff?
The one question is, if we already have our auxiliaries named, do we lose that?
They already have the auxiliaries named.
In 5.6, there's an auxiliary name for aux 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. If I already have it named?
That'll be taken out.
Okay, so the question is on 5.7, will the aux status show on the live map? Yes, if you have a rule, it's the rule that'll show on the map. It was always the rule that showed on the map.
Yeah, so I don't have any examples for you at the moment, but as you can see, the auxiliary option here within the trips has also changed. So we do recommend that you make it a specific rule, like Stephanie was just pointing out, that has been deleted, or not deleted, created, sorry, now that auxiliaries have been deleted. You know, just exceptions, and then they can appear on the map as necessary. And then keep in mind that whenever you do run trips history, if you did just want to see those auxiliary reports, you can filter out. And this is a feature right now in 5.6. This isn't 5.7 exclusive, just to see those auxiliary rules being broken. And also one feature that a lot of people might not realize for this is if I zoom in on a specific area, these options down here will only show me the rules that were broken in the view that I can see. It's a side, but it's just something worth noting.
Yep, dynamic change, yep.
And then obviously whenever a rule does break and you look at it in the exceptions report here, you can actually click on where it happened on the map. Nice.
Use the after-hour rule. It's guaranteed somebody broke it. That's a device. Just put CS after hour.
You know what? I'll just do all rules, and I'll just use the CS that we've been using this entire time. So.
Yep.
If you don't select a rule, it uses all rules.
Yep. Then we can see all the rules that were broken here. And if you wanted to specify, obviously, just for the after-hours rule, you could do that here as well. And then obviously you can see a summary for what was broken. But this also still hasn't really changed. This is what you're used to already. So I won't get into too much detail on this. We're looking more towards what has changed in 5.7.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions about what was in the aux report before. If we had groups and auxiliaries and those kind of things, it will all be gone. I don't know the answer to that question. I think we need to go to the developers and get an answer.
Yeah, my understanding is that it will be removed, and just it doesn't change your historic information with the auxiliaries and such. It's just that the naming convention for them will be deleted and removed.
Okay, so quick question here. Before you leave this screen, go back to the options for the exceptions report and show me how you select a rule.
Oh, so you can just go into the exception rules here. I can start typing it, and I can just put in one rule that I'm interested in.
You can either start typing it, pick it from the list, or he can just pick it from the list.
Yeah, so if I just click on the spot, it's going to give me in alphabetical order all the rules. Cool. Stephanie, can we move on to the next step?
We did have one quick question. You can, in the exceptions report, you can select all rules or any number. You're not limited to 6 in the exceptions report.
Yeah, no, you've never been limited in the exceptions report. It's the risk management report that you can only have 6.
Yeah, and the exception rules report is because you can have 100 or 300 rules in there. It just lets you start from the top, and it filters so fast when you put in a little bit of the rule that scrolling through them isn't really the way that you would want to select a rule. You'd want to select you'd want to start typing it, and then like speeding and, I don't know, seat belts after hours, pick something and start typing the next one. You'll see it starts popping up right away. All the ones that have that fit that criteria. You can just keep adding to your risk management until you get 6 rules. Angie, can you select the other 5 so that we can see how they go into the exceptions report?
Very easy. I can just you can see how quick it did filter, just like Steph said. I don't know if I just picked 5 or 6. 6. Okay. Keep in mind, this is not really changed from 5.6. The only thing in the risk management report and most areas of the report that's changed is the view. that you can now go from this list, which is just the standard UI view, to any report, custom report that's been made in the system. All of the rest of this has not changed since 5.6, so just keep that in mind. The only thing that's changed in here is the ability to view the reports.
So all of your beautiful risk management reports are available to do that. Somebody said, can we see a driver scorecard?
I don't know who made this. This could be, I don't know what this is going to look like. Yeah, I think somebody's kind of messing around with this. I don't know if that's a full. Yeah,
we only have one vehicle. We only have one vehicle, I think, selected CS or whatever, and maybe no vehicles.
Yeah. I do have a scorecard that I have been building. It seems to be working really good, and a couple of the resellers are using it. It is something that I'm hoping to get put into the database. This is not it. I'm just pointing that out. This is not it. I'm hoping that's something that we can get in there standard, but unfortunately it's not up to me, but it is something that I've put in as a request. What you will normally see on a new database is the top 3, and that's it. And any other default reports that we have in the system, which is the standard 5. But other than that, it will just be list, report, and advanced. And then the difference between report and advanced is basically the report is just the report tab of the Excel report. Okay. The advanced is the report tab and the summary tab, and then you can spit it out into Excel and do your magic. So I just wanted to kind of go over a couple of places that are now on the web. The next one being drivers congregating. So this is something that was previously in 5.6 in Click Once. So you can see in the options, we have all those options that we had before. We can run by device or driver if they're using driver ID. You can select a particular device, or if you select none, it will select all. And then you've got your options here like we had before, the minimum distance, minimum overlap time, and then minimum number of devices. It excludes stops and zones. Once again, if I click in here, it gives me the options of the zones that we have. For just training purposes, I'll just apply what we've got as the default. And once again, it's the Excel report that we're seeing. So we can see that these vehicles congregated at this location, and it is by location. So you can see here that 2 vehicles congregated at this location, 2 at this one, and we've got them all separated out by color code as well, based on the type of zone. And I don't know if you've noticed this on one of the other reports that we've shown, the duration and the color scheme that we're seeing. What it is basically the darker the shade, the higher the value. So it kind of gives you a nice visual of the one with the highest duration. Any questions on the congregation?
Nope, just asking if we're going to publish this for later viewing, and we'll do just like we did last week. We took the training session, cut out some of the chatting and back and forth answering on the questions, and cut it down to the core elements and publish that. It is available on MyAdmin today, and we hope to publish this one just as quickly.
The next one that's now online is the time card report. So when I go in here, it's automatically going to run it for today for all the vehicles. I can obviously go in and I can choose my options for whichever I want to look for. We have a nice graphical view here. It kind of looks just like the trip summary report. If you notice that we've got the bar here for the drive time and for the idle time, as well as where everybody kind of spent their time. So you can see here, this is non-customer time, and this is customer time here. You can sort by depart time, arrive time, or total time altogether, and the total time is this on the left-hand side here. So you can see here, if I hover over, the first depart time was 12 p.m. and the last arrival time was 12:34 p.m. and the last arrival was at the GEOTAB zone or stop in the system. And incidentally, you can do, just like everywhere else, you are going to see this trend, or this, it's going to be the same throughout the rest of the software, is you have the option to run it in this list view, which is what this is, or the report, or the advanced. Any questions on the time card report?
Yeah, can you go back and flick to the other view so they can just see it? It went kind of fast.
Which other view?
When it goes to Excel here.
Oh, okay.
So there's your typical Excel view that you would have seen in the old time card report. So it's kind of like the old view and the new view, depending upon which way you want to see it.
And you can see the shading as well, showing the ones with the higher times are darker.
The answer is that you have the two views, the Excel view or the new web-based HTML5 view, and you can choose between which view you prefer, or you can create a customized Excel report that is whatever color, spacing, details, whatever it is that you want. Publish that to your database, and then that can be the one that you always view by clicking on that view button and selecting that report.
The next thing that I think a lot of people have been wanting to know about is the engine data, which is now on the web. So as you can see, the options are similar to everywhere else in the software. I can choose my device that I want to look at. I'll just choose Collins again. And I can choose if I want it to be the engine summary report, the fault report, or the status report. I'm just going to choose status, and you can see when I chose status that option below just went away, which was devices with issues only, because that is only for the fault summary or the fault details report. I'm going to choose status, just click on apply changes, and because we still, if you've noticed, when this runs, we still do have a bounce out to click once, so not everything is in the web yet, which is why we're just defaulting to the Excel view. So I believe once we get rid of the click once, we'll have a list view, which is the software view when that's done.
Sounds good.
Which will allow us to be able to filter and sort. Any questions on that?
Nope, looks good. If you pop up the options screen just a second, and you should see that just like in the old version of the software, the options are very consistent from one section of the software to another. You pick the time period, you pick the vehicles, you pick the details, and you click go. And it's pretty consistent throughout the software, so it shouldn't be too difficult for users to make the transition. The buttons are a little different color and a little different shape, but other than that, it stays mostly the same. Okay, we are down to the last 15 minutes, so I'm going to keep us moving along as we don't have any questions at the moment.
Great, so I've only got a couple more to go through. If you notice, I did skip over IFTA. We're going to go over that in another session, and any HOS stuff I'm going to go over in another session as well. Maintenance reminders is now on the web, but it's similar to Engine, where we do still have a click once, and the click once is for setting up the maintenance reminders. So we do have a lot of ideas that we want to do with the maintenance reminders, and it's taken us a little bit longer, so that's why it's still in the click once version. But I can run and see what to do on the web. So I can, as you can see, the options are similar to what they were before. I can look for reminders, I can look for all rules, all devices if I want, what's overdue. I'm just going to hit apply changes and just see what pops up. As you can see, it's going to come up in the Excel view. And there's my list. So we've got some things that were due quite a while ago. Obviously, this is test one, so not all of these are very accurate, but it gives you an idea of what we're able to see.
Okay, the question is, does the diagnostic code show up here in the Advanced tab? It'll be in the engine data, and it'll be in the fault summary view, and that's where you'd see your diagnostic codes, where we just came from.
I don't know any that have a fault. Steph, do you know if any of yours have any faults right now?
Just select all and see what happens. that is a GEOTAB Go device fault, not an engine fault, but you can see that it is recorded there, the date timestamp. So no worries. Thanks, Ange.
So as far as the diagnostic code, it will be in the data tab for you to be able to extract and put onto the report tab. And once again, this is not finalized. This section, if you want the diagnostic codes, it's still in the advanced. Click once. It is not fully moved over to the web. Once it is, we will be able to see that information. All right.
Any plans for the maintenance reminders to become programmable alerts or alert notifications? I think the real usable function of the reminders is to create a list of the vehicles that need to be maintained this week and then send out, you know, a notice to the maintenance manager at the beginning of the week that these are the 7 or 10 or 12 or whatever vehicles that he needs to get in for an oil change or tire rotation or whatever the particular thing is. I don't think it was ever intended to be send an alert to a cell phone that you need an oil change this week. If that's a feature that you want, I recommend that you write it up as a feature request and submit it through the Zendesk and put it in that way. There's a question about immobilization on the Go 6. Because we're running out of time, do we want to come back to immobilization?
Okay.
Let's do that. And again, the next question goes back to what I was talking about. And yes, you can set up an emailed report on a maintenance reminder to tell you that these are the things that are due this week. That is exactly how the maintenance reminders are supposed to be used. An emailed report of what's due in the coming week, 500 miles or 7 days, whichever way you want to look at it. So just an option there, okay?
Perfect.
Okay. Anything else, Steph?
We're good. Do you want to try to get into the zones before we run out of time?
Yep, the zones is where I was going to go. This is probably my most favorite new section. You can see now that importing the zones is no longer done through that import zones wizard. Everything is now on the web. I can actually drag and drop some files in here, or I can actually, let me just see if I can, I'll just choose a random. It's not a zone file, but I'll just choose a random one. Let's see what I've got here. Sure. So there we go. So unfortunately, it's not an actual zone report, but one of the most fantastic things you can see here is it shows you which ones are valid, which ones are invalid, how many zones, and everything like that. So I've got 1 valid, 361 invalid, and 0 unknown, obviously. But what you can do is those ones that are invalid, it is actually highlighted in a bit of a red hue. I don't know if you can notice that, but I can actually click on that line and I can edit it, which is amazing. So if we have, you know, if you're doing importing with addresses and maybe there's something wrong with that address, it will highlight and tell you which one has a problem with the address, and you can just go in real time and fix it, and then you're done. You don't have to wait to have that, you know, file dropped back in your folder and edit it and put it back in, and then you can actually just go ahead and import. You can choose your options, similar to what we did before, and this is something really neat that we have now, is you now have the ability to create the zone as a circle and not necessarily a square. You can choose to make it visible or not visible, choose your zone size. Everything other than that is the same, but the new feature is that you can now make it as a circle.
Okay, can you click OK and go up and show them the sample files up there at the there's samples here that show you how to lay out the data to work with this new import wizard based on all the details here. And then the other thing is in the project sheet that we have, and I think it's posted for the Garmin. I think I've made some updates for 5.7. I'll republish it. But it's got the templates for importing zones from lat longs or from addresses, so you can do it either way. Can we export zones to clients not just as the self-created square, but as the customized shape? No, because I think the only thing that the system stores is the isn't the only thing that it stores the centroid lat long, the dot in the middle of the thing. We can check on that, but I'm pretty sure that the only thing that the database writes is the center point, not every lat long that's included in that.
Yeah, it is just the center, and then we make the radius around it.
Yeah. Okay, so there's a bunch of questions that just came in here, so let me get caught up for a second. Once imported over 100 zones, for example, can you change size of all of them through that, or do you still need to import them all? Go to the zones list, Angie. Let's just, there's an edit feature, but I don't think you can edit the size of the zone. Once it's in, it's in. You're going to have to delete them and redo them, but you can go to the zones list down here. And you have that multi-select on the other window. So there's nothing about the size here, but go back one step, Ange. Remember how in the, oh, you can't really see it because the meeting manager is in the way, but the vehicles, there you go. So you got the 500 zones are here, and you can select, you still need to scroll to the right a little bit, Angie, you can't quite see the resolution squished. There you go. So you can click that checkbox, and now I can select all zones, group of zones, however you want to do it. Select visual, individual, none, and you can start editing those zones. If you go to edit
remember,
zones,
like Jordan said, you can filter by group if you only want to do a certain group.
Okay, click on the check mark again. Let's just see what you can edit on the multiple zones. I don't think you can edit. Just select a couple from the list. There you go. And then add groups, replace groups, yes, no, change type, show stopped inside of it, go, don't change color, replace with. So I don't think you can change size. I think you'd have to delete all and then re-import them as a different size. There's no way to resize a zone once it's imported. Why is there no drop-down indicator next to the type field? Is it obvious that you can choose customer type, office, etc.? Go back, Angie, to the, I'm not sure what the question was.
Where? I'm not sure.
Just go back to the zone list. I think is where it was. We were at the zone list.
Okay.
No, not that. Not that.
All right.
Sorry.
Yep.
I know we got different places to go. Zones. There you go. Right here. Click on a zone.
Is this what they were talking about?
I think it's a zone in the list. Click on one of those. And then why is there not a drop-down indicator next to the type field? I think because there's an infinite number, you can choose whatever you want. Whatever you've made is what's going to be there.
Yeah, most of, like if you saw in the exceptions when we were choosing the exceptions, there was no drop down, but as soon as you click on the button, it gives you the
I think they're
drop-down.
just saying that it should be consistent. There should either be the little drop down arrow like you see next to groups, yep, or whatnot. We can turn that in as a request. I think it makes it a little bit more consistent. Okay, I like that. We've been playing in it for a number of months, so it doesn't seem weird to us, but thank you for pointing it out. Okay, so anything else on the groups? On zones, rather, sorry, zones. I think you'll see that everything has a really nice look and feel, very web-oriented. I think the color scheme is quite nice, and I like the new graphics, the new icons. Okay. Now, there is one question here about, are there going to be changes to the database structure with these new features? And the answer to that question is absolutely. Going from 5.6 to 5.7 is going from a Windows Click Once primary software to a HTML5 primary software. So there are a lot of changes. If you have database integrations going on within your organization, email your account manager today. We've gone through and made a list of everybody that we know that's on a public My server that is using some kind of SDK, import, extract, data congregation, whatever you want to call it, so that we can alert the developers or the support guys. They will not upgrade those databases until you have made the integration changes that you need to make. Whether it takes 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, whatever it is, we're not going to automatically upgrade those databases until you have time to fix your integrations. That being said, new databases starting on November the 1st, unless you otherwise specify that you have to connect to it, we will automatically start building those databases on 5.7. So brand new customers don't have to learn 5.6 and then go to 5.7. Everybody else will be rolled over like we've done in the past. There'll be, you know, a ramp-up period. You'll get an email that server number 1 is going to be updated on such and such a date, and you have databases A, B, and C on that server. So we know that it's going to be a change, and we're going to help you through the process.
There's actually just one final. We have 2 minutes left. This is the last place I wanted to show you guys for this session is the customer visits. This is also in the web, and I'll pick on you now, Steph. And now you can see this is the customer visits section here. So it is now in the web. You can view on a map, and it brings you right to that customer visit. It gives you the time of arrival, the duration, and time of departure. And this is so we can see it's by vehicle. So SVGO 7, SVGO 6, and then the areas that they actually visited. I'm going to show you the options here, which is similar to what they were before. You can choose your time periods like in every other area of the software. You can choose a detailed report or a summarized report. I'll run a summarized one to show you what it looks like. You can include historic data, so that's for vehicles that you may have deleted and you kept historic. You can still view their data, and obviously you can still run it by device or driver. I can choose what zone I want to look at, but I'm just going to select all zones, and I'm just going to click on Apply Changes. So there we go. So what it's done is it's actually giving me an incident count now. So before it was actually giving me a line for each time that I visited that location. Now it's giving me the last arrival and the last departure and the overall duration, and then the incident count there of how many times that zone was visited by that vehicle. We do have these sorting options as well, so you can sort by vehicle the way it is now. You can sort by zone, or you can sort by duration. Once again, we have our view, so we can go into that Excel report again. And that's just a straightforward view here of the vehicle. There's no driver information, so that's empty. But the vehicle, what zone they visited, the total duration at that zone, and the incident counts. Okay, and that's the customer visits report. Now, we were at 2:30 right now, so I think I might want to, just for the last maybe minute or so, if we can, any more questions that we have, we can go ahead and answer those.
Well, you must have done an awesome job because there are no new questions.
All right. Well, great. Well, thanks again, everyone, for joining. Once again, this will be posted on MyAdmin. The last session is already posted on MyAdmin for anybody to go ahead and just download and review for your customers. So thanks again, everyone.
One last question here, and I'm just going to answer this real quick before we go. How much notice do we give before we upgrade each server? And I think that the answer to that question is that the schedule will be published in advance, and it'll be probably 2 to 3 to 4 weeks out when we publish it. And then we'll send a reminder that says, My 1 is being updated on, November 21st, and My 2 is going to be updated on November 22nd, and so on and so forth.
And I know that Heather is going to be working with Patrick, similar to what she did last year, is to get the list of databases on each of those servers, and we'll be reaching out to you as the resellers to let you know that these particular databases of yours will be upgraded on this date, and we'll coordinate with you. And if it's not okay, we can push it back. We are pretty okay with moving some things around, not too much, but we can definitely help out.
We'll see you guys next week then. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye now.